Knives are out for Zohran. What is this? Fareed Zekaria, blue cities are out of control, promising more, spending more, delivering less, and pushing off fiscal problems to some future day. Democrats in City Hall should be governing as if the goal is to announce new entitlements. Oh my God, it's here. The Zohran Mamdani honeymoon period might officially be coming to a close.
But first, here's my take. Zohran Mamdani ran on a promise to make New York affordable.
A mandate for a city we can afford.
Last week, he unveiled a budget that is, in a word, unaffordable.
Yeah, really f***ed up of Zohran Mamdani to have a $12 billion budget shortfall that was developed before he became mayor, by the way. Really f***ed up of him, you know? Typical socialist sitting on a $12 billion budget shortfall that is entirely the fault of the previous administration. Like, come on, man.
New York has been fiscally profligate for so long that the headline number, $127 billion, produces little shock. But for perspective, these are similar to the annual expenditures of a mid-sized nation with all the expenses a country requires, like Greece or Thailand, devoted to governing one city. New York City's budget has ballooned in recent years. Michael Bloomberg's last budget, adopted for fiscal year 2014, totaled about $70 billion. So in little more than a decade, the budget has nearly doubled, growing faster than inflation and faster than the city's economic growth. And much of it has happened as the city has been losing the one thing that makes big government easier to finance: people. New York City's population fell sharply amid the pandemic, with a 5% decline from April 2020 to July 2020.
I wonder why, bro. I wonder why. First of all, I wonder how. Shouts out to the previous governor. Okay. Shouts out to the previous mayor. 5% is not really sharp. It is sharp. Come on. That's a huge decline. What are you talking about?
22. More recent city reports show a rebound, but the city remained below its 2020 baseline as of 2024. The arithmetic is brutal. A larger bill is divided among fewer payers. Per person, the imbalance is stark. Using the Lincoln Institute's fiscally standardized numbers, New York's general spending in 2023 was more than 30% higher per capita than Los Angeles and more than double Houston. And what do New Yorkers get for this? Look at New York City schools, the largest school district in the country. The city's education budget has climbed while enrollment has shrunk. The DOE budget has risen from roughly $34 billion in 2019 to over $40 billion, while the DOE says per student spending is projected to reach nearly $35,000 in fiscal year 2026, among the highest in the nation. The outputs, graduation numbers, test scores, and reading levels, are at best middling, often comparable to places that spend a fraction of what New York does. Now come the taxes, because every political argument in New York eventually ends up at the same curbside: who will pay? New York already sits at the extreme end of the American tax spectrum. For high earners, the combined state plus city income tax reaches 14.776%. Add federal taxes and the combined marginal rate can exceed 50%, reaching roughly 55% on certain investment income. New Yorkers pay tax rates comparable to European countries that provide in return universal health care, free.
Dog, they live in New York. And the reason for the population decline in New York is not because the high earners are leaving. It's because middle income people are leaving because it's unaffordable. And even worse, the low income people are getting priced out of the housing market and becoming homeless. So the people that are leaving are the people that can actually leave. The people that are not leaving are either the wealthiest people or the poorest people, because the poorest people simply cannot leave and the wealthiest people can pay. In order to address this population decline problem, you need to make New York more affordable for the middle earners, and you need to also make New York livable for the low income, for the unhoused population. This is the problem Zohran Mamdani is trying to solve. And considering that all of the wealth is trapped at the top of American society, the highest earners of the American population, many of which who live in New York, 33,000 people that make an income, a yearly income growth of like $1 million plus. It's perfectly valid to tax them. It's perfectly permissible to tax them. It's perfectly understandable to tax them. You are a asshole. These guys straight up don't even hide it. It's not a democratic process at all. They simply just want to cover the interests of the wealthy. That's all they're doing.
College education and amazing infrastructure. New Yorkers get some 300 miles of sidewalk sheds. On business taxation, the city is also off the charts. The Citizens Budget Commission reports that New York City business activity faces the country's highest combined corporate tax rate, 17.44%, once state, city, and regional layers are stacked. Mamdani wants to hike income and corporate rates even further, or else he says he will raise property taxes by almost 10%. Property taxes already made up more than 27% of the cost of home ownership in the city as of 2022, above the national average. New York is really a prime example of a problem Democrats seem unwilling to confront. Blue cities are out of control, promising more, spending more, delivering less, and pushing off the fiscal problems to some future day. Take Los Angeles, another one-party metropolis wrestling with affordability and disorder. The city's homelessness budget for fiscal year 2025-26 totals about $950 million. The LA Homelessness Services Authority reported that in 2023, homelessness was up 9% countywide and 10% in the city.
Why are we listening to this no motion shithead? Because he is at CNN, and because these arguments will be heard over and over and over again for the next year or so, especially leading up to the final battle on whether Kathy Hochul will tax the rich or Zohran Mamdani will be forced by these very powerful forces to do austerity, tremendous austerity. Like you're saying, like, this is no different than asking me why I watch Fox News, okay? I get that it's annoying, but don't ever think that this is no motion. Fareed Zakaria is just ahead of the curve. He is doing the arguments that you are going to hear more and more from the super wealthy, and also the arguments that you will hear from the servants of the super wealthy in mainstream media. Fareed Zakaria is just simply the first to make the argument.
And a 2024 AP account noted that homelessness has surged 70% countywide since 2015 and 80% in the city. All this amid public frustration despite billions spent. An audit reviewed $2.4 billion in city homelessness funding and found that officials could not reliably track where it went or what it achieved. Or take Chicago, with a mayor whose approval rating is deep underwater, where the pension promises are so large that they will surely bankrupt the city at some point. What is the theory of good government here? If the answer is keep adding programs, the city will keep producing unaffordability, because unaffordability is what happens when government becomes a machine that grows faster than the society it governs. Zohran Mamdani's basic instinct is correct. Focus on affordability, especially housing, but not by providing government subsidies. These only seem to have driven up the cost of rent, as subsidies naturally do. The city's rental assistance spending rose from $263 million in fiscal year 2020 to $1.34 billion in the most recently reported fiscal year. That is a 5 times increase in a handful of years, and housing costs only got worse. Matt Iglesias persuasively argues that the city should make it easy and routine to just build abundant market-rate housing. That will bring in more people, expand the tax base, fill the schools, and increase local GDP. And that will make the budget affordable.
I'm just going to say, fuck Matt Iglesias. Just randomly wanted to give a big shout out.
For Democrats in city halls, there is a choice. Stop governing as if the goal is to announce new entitlements, and instead make government work. Safer streets, functioning schools, predictable sanitation, and above all, enough housing that the middle class can find places to live. New York City does not need more soaring rhetoric. It needs more homes.
Abundance is the neoliberals' plan to create a permanent renter class and claim the final appreciating asset that the middle class has.